before you put your name on them. That's just a thought. Now, the Obama administration released a statement this afternoon threatening to veto the upcoming defense authorization bill over a provision that would drastically change detention policies for suspected terrorists here in the U.S. On Tuesday, the Senate Armed Services Committee discussed the new language that would mandate the automatic, indefinite military detention of non-citizens apprehended in the United States that are suspected members of al-Qaeda or associated groups. Now, here are some of the details. It would require terrorist suspects to be held by the military, not civilian law enforcement. We should also note that the section against the military holding U.S. citizens or lawful residents would be removed, making the law seem very vague, ultimately meaning that perhaps anybody can be held as a detainee, even American citizens. The provision would stop any transfer of Gitmo detainees from Gitmo, basically extending what Congress has already put into place, and it gives the government the power to hold any al-Qaeda suspects indefinitely without trial. As of now, under the current Obama executive order, the government only has the power to hold Gitmo detainees indefinitely, but seems like that apparently isn't enough for Congress. Now, this provision introduced by Senators Carl Levin and John McCain has been met with a lot of criticism. But when it comes to the president's veto threats, how much credibility does he have on this subject anymore? Here to discuss this with me is Colonel Morris Davis, Executive Director and Counsel for the Crimes of War Education Project and former Chief Prosecutor of Military Commissions at Guantanamo Bay. Colonel, thanks so much for being here tonight.
It's my pleasure.
Let's start off with this legislation that is working its way through Congress at the moment. Do you think that this is dangerous?
It's a bad idea. I mean, I agree with Senators Leahy and Feinstein that this is compromising our national security. So it's just a bad idea.
Well, it just seems odd. We already have a bit of a problem, you could say, when it comes to the over-militarization of our police forces. And here we're, in fact, would be taking the power away from law enforcement, away from our regular court system, and having the military in charge of detainees. Do we really need that on our own soil?
Well, we don't. If you recall, during the Bush administration, the Republicans, the conservatives said the president in times of war needed the maximum flexibility, and now they're trying to handcuff President Obama. So it's really it's disappointing to see Congress behaving this way.
But so is that why President Obama is threatening to veto the legislation? Not because he thinks that this is going to be damaging to civil liberties or counterterrorism strategies, but because his power is going to be taken away?
I don't know. I mean, he certainly has embraced the Bush administration policies that he campaigned against and has actually advanced those, killing Americans with drone strikes in Yemen, for instance. But his veto threat is like me when I was a kid telling my mother I was going to hold my breath till I got my way. I believe he's vetoed 2 bills in his entire tenure. So if I had to bet on hell freezing over and President Obama vetoing the bill, I'm not sure which way I'd bet.
You've had some choice words for President Obama. In fact, recently you said that there was a pair of testicles somewhere between the Capitol building and the White House that fell off the president after Election Day of 2008.
This may be a good test, see if he got his balls back, because somewhere between the Capitol and the White House, they clearly fell off. I mean, he campaigned saying all the right things and took office and embraced the Bush policies and has never looked back. So it's been a real disappointment.
Now, do you think that the president, and I think this is a question that many people often ask, do you think that he ever really meant it? Was he lying the whole time that he was campaigning? Or once you get into office, once you become the president and you start finding out all that classified information, do you change your mind? You've changed your mind. He used to support military commissions.
I did. No, I think he meant it. I think in his heart of hearts, he knows the right answer. I think with President Bush, you could almost say, well, he didn't know any better. President Obama knows better. What he doesn't have is the backbone to lead on this issue. We had health care reform, the economy, I think other things that became a priority. But nobody's going to get elected or reelected in 2012 saying, I stood up for the rights of detainees at Guantanamo Bay.
But at the same time, Americans care about the economy. Americans care about their jobs. They care about the foreclosure crisis across the country. I feel like Guantanamo Bay is the last thing on their minds.
It is. I mean, there's a lot more concern about the tragic demise of Kim Kardashian's 72-day marriage than there is about the 172 men that have spent up to a decade in confinement at Guantanamo. 99% of Americans just don't care.
But so then why would that be an effective strategy for Republicans to use against President Obama in the next election if those aren't their top priorities?
I mean, he's killed Osama bin Laden. He's killed an American in Yemen. He's kept Guantanamo open. He's revived the military commissions. But he can never be strong enough. I mean, it seems like on the Republican side, if you look at the candidates that are running for office, you can't be dumb enough and you can't be hateful enough. So you've got the choice between dumb and hateful or just a lack of backbone on the left.
Did he open up the door for that, though? At this latest presidential debate, which focused on foreign policy, we saw the majority of all the candidates, aside from John Huntsman and from Ron Paul, say that they support waterboarding, or that they don't believe that waterboarding is torture, and that they support torture. Have President Obama actually gone after people, tried to work within the system and apprehend those who tortured, those who ordered torture, you could say, at the very highest ranks? Would this even be a part of the discussion?
Well, it's interesting. We're a party to the Convention Against Torture that says there's an affirmative duty to investigate and prosecute. You've had President Obama, you've had John McCain, you've had various officials from both parties and judges that have said we tortured, and we're ignoring our responsibility. So we're very hypocritical when it comes to human rights and humanitarian law. We love to lecture Iran and Libya and Russia and other countries, and then we don't live up to our own example.
So do you think that things can change? Because, as I said, President Obama hasn't done anything about it. It doesn't seem like the Republican candidates out there that want to be president at the moment are going to do anything about it because they support these policies. But if there is another contender, at some point, might Americans get back to the place where they felt like torture is wrong, or has it just gone too far?
Well, I hope so. I'm encouraged by this Occupy Wall Street movement, where people have finally said enough's enough when it comes to the economy and the haves getting all and the rest getting nothing. So I'm hoping at some point we'll have that same feeling about human rights and humanitarian law, because for 200 years the law was our strength. For the last decade we viewed it as a weakness, and those aren't American ideals or American values. And
a lot of that same thing goes for immunity at the top, right? For former President George W. Bush and former Vice President Dick Cheney, who have admitted that they ordered waterboarding, and yet absolutely no justice in that sense. Colonel, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.